So how did you go from transitioning from engineering leadership to business leadership to then executive coaching? Was it the sort of same idea of identifying and solving the root problems, but it's a sort of a different category of challenges, or what was the journey there?
Didn't start off that way. Yeah, the journey with that was after exiting with LinkedIn, then it was more of, well, what are the expectations that other people have? And after good fair number of successful exits, what do? Okay, invest. And so I was doing more angel investing, and what I ended up noticing is that whenever I would invest in companies, then I ended up working with their leadership. I found the investing intellectually stimulating, but ultimately not that fulfilling. And what I really loved was that one-on-one connection with other people. And then that led me to coaching. And so I would kind of inevitably just coach the CEOs because I wanted to make sure the companies were successful because I just put money into it. But I also loved that the whole arc of innovation, that was there. And so I ended up coaching. But what I found is that, while I would coach from a standpoint of, what's the product, what's the problem you're trying to solve, I found that there was always a space for, oh, I don't know I don't know what's going on. I don't know I don't know the answer to this problem. I'm not sure exactly what strategy we should have. I'm not sure of, XYZ. And there was that question of, am I the wrong person for this role? I was like, I've certainly been here before. And, through my engineering time and through, just general management of the leadership, it was always what I loved, the innovation, product development. It was that how to find potential in people and introduce them to their own potential. And so I ended up getting into coaching CEOs and execs kind of by accident, but that's the work that I found just really fulfilling. And it was that, how do you relate to your job? How do you relate to the position? How are you relating to other people? And it was that personal introspection that is really what I love, much, much more. And so now as I'm coaching, I'll tell people, I'm not your business coach and I'm not your therapist, but I've been in your seat before or similar seats. And so I can help normalize the challenge that comes up. And, we'll maybe spend about 20% of the time on business, but much more it's about how are you relating to the business and the other people in your role. And so that's what I still find just immense learning from myself and fulfillment by helping other people navigate that.
Well, I think the last notion that you brought up sort of transitions really well to the topics that I think we wanted to spend some time diving into around culture and self-compassion, because they're not so much like the fundamental tactical business challenges, but they're rather everything that those things exist in. And so I think to set some context around this conversation, why has culture and self-compassion been top of mind for you right now? Like, what has sort of surfaced this to have you focus on this element right now? Is there a moment or a story from the past few months that have brought this up for you where you're like, I've been doing a little more reflecting and thinking about this, and it's come up a lot more in conversation? What's been sort of the inspiration behind these two topics?
Well, so big piece, it's not just the last couple of months, but really I would say the last probably 10 years. Culture has been really a cornerstone of what I've learned through leadership and how to really get people together and have them harmonize in a way where we can be successful. I see culture as the social contract of how we interact, how we behave. It's how we do what we do and how we do that in our larger organization. And I always find that there's an aspirational aspect to culture as well. And let's face it, technology companies, all kinds of companies, when you're growing, you're going to make mistakes and it's hard. And, what I had grown accustomed to in the past is that, we always talk about failure and fail fast and, what do you learn from that? But it's always the external and, where self-compassion comes in with this intersection of culture is, there's the culture of how do I treat myself? Because we mainly focus on culture as the external. And so where self-compassion comes in is, what's the culture that I have with myself about how do I treat myself? How do I do what I do? And with self-compassion, what I've learned is I think it's probably the biggest equalizer that I've found. When we're growing up, we typically, it's like, here's what you did wrong, here's what you have to correct, and things are constantly being pointed out. And so we can take that on as that negative voice internally. There's something wrong with me. And what I try to do with culture and bringing that together with self-compassion is, there's nothing wrong with you. This is the human condition that we're in. It's like, we learn by experience, and if we can take the experience and be compassionate with ourselves, and we can talk about self-compassion more, about what it means, and treat myself with kindness, then I have a much different perspective. I take it as, we're all loved, loving, and lovable. And so anything that stands in the way, or any voice in your head that say, no, you're not enough, then, to turn towards that with compassion for yourself. And then I have a perspective of, it's not, I may have done something wrong, but it's not me that is intrinsically wrong. Kind of the difference between shame and guilt. And so, that's how I've seen it. And with literally every entrepreneur I've worked with, they've all run into the same thing about, wow, this didn't go the way I expected. Something's wrong with me. And it's like, oh no, nothing is. It means is you're on the cutting edge, and when you're on that edge, you're going to fall over a lot. But that's, if you can have the perspective of kindness with yourself, then you can start to move forward.